Hi, everybody, and welcome to the COVID-19 question and answer session. My name is Dr. Anna Maria Temple, and I'm an integrative pediatrician. I thought I'd pop on here today to see if you guys had any questions about COVID-19, things that I have not answered previously. Also on Instagram, I put out questions of what you guys are interested in, and it didn't seem there are so many questions that I just couldn't answer them from direct messaging. So I thought I would do a webinar where you guys can pop on here and just send questions in the chat box. I'm going to keep it open. And then depending on what you guys are asking, that's what I'm going to answer rather than a pre-scripted kind of thing. I will tell you that I have gotten some, one of the questions that has come up is, kind of like, what are the basics of COVID-19? Why is it spreading so fast? And more than what you hear in the media, because it's like, okay, well, it came from China. So it is coronavirus, which is a type of virus that's been around for decades. And the one that has been in the United States since 1960s has been pretty much just mild symptoms, like upper respiratory symptoms. And then we had the SARS coronavirus in 2002, which was more infectious and caused ARDS as well. And then we have this one. And all three of them, what they have in common is that the outer shell has spiky things and it looks like a crown. So it gets the corona, which is crown in Spanish, I think Latin as well. Anyway, the poor Corona beer company, by the way, they shut down production because people are not buying it. They'll have to rename it. Anyway, the spiky things in the COVID-19 attach themselves to our cells via ACE2 receptors. And the reason this virus is so potent is because, number one, we don't have any antibodies against it. Number two, when it attaches really strongly. And then the more it attaches to the cells, to the ACE2 receptors, the more it binds to it. And so you don't need as many particles as, let's say, flu or as is the common cold. It just needs less particles to jump in. The other thing about it is that it's a circle and it has to split open in order for it to invade our body. And the splitting open is held together by these strands, let's say, and we have an enzyme in our body that splits the strand and is able for it to break in half, which then it moves into the lower respiratory system as compared to other coronaviruses. So you need less particles, it attaches stronger, and it breaks apart for easier invasion. It is coming from bats. It doesn't look like the pangolins were really that big of a deal, but the bats, it has not been around longer than December of 2019 that anybody can tell. Now, the CIA just came up with some information saying that the numbers in China are not really actually real, but who really thought they were real? I mean, let's be honest. But the CIA is saying, no, they had more cases and blah, blah. So that's whatever. But there's no indication that has been before. I will tell you, I am very confident that it's been in the United States way before February, because folks from China had already been exposed to it in December, traveled to major conferences in the United States in the end of January, beginning of February. So by the time that we started testing, it has already spread significantly more. So our numbers that we have in the United States right now are not an adequate representation of really what's going on. So there are other things. Common question that's come up is, how come children are not as affected as adults, and why are men more affected than women? So because the ACE2 receptor, so the more it binds to the ACE2 receptor, but the ACE2 receptor is also really protective. So it's a little confusing, but the more ACE2 receptors you have, the stronger the immune system against this you have, because it needs to bind. We'll just leave it at that. Children have more ACE2 receptors than older adults, because as we get older, we lose ACE2 receptors. Also, women have more ACE2 receptors than men. Pregnant women have more ACE2 receptors than other women. And apparently women on estrogen therapy have more ACE2 receptors than women not on estrogen therapy. That is not to say we're going to go run to the doctor and get on estrogen therapy. I'm just saying this is what the observations are currently in the literature. The other thing that people have been very concerned is that, well, the virus is mutating. The virus does mutate, right? Because viruses mutate. As it's replicating, like one gene is off, and now the virus is slightly different than his friend. And but the mutations are very small and very insignificant. The virus has not had to mutate significantly because it's really successful. It's like crushing things. It has no incentive to mutate. Usually, we mutate in order to better adapt to our environment. It's adapting just fine. So there's no reason that this sucker is mutating. So yes, there are tiny mutations. They're very small, have become insignificant, and are not the reason why we're seeing it in children. Just remember, the numbers we have had have not been accurate. And also the, whatchamacallit, somebody just sent something on my email. I got totally disrupted. Anyway, I really don't know what I was going to say. But no. So the people feel that the children are getting more affected. So our numbers are not accurate. Also, remember, testing for the virus is maybe 70% accurate. The ophthalmologist in China who discovered that this was an issue and started alerting that this is a problem, he was tested several times for COVID-19 and he came up negative many times, and then he ended up dying from COVID-19. This is not to scare you. This is to just tell you that we all like, oh, I need a test. You don't need a test. I totally had it last week, and my daughter had it and my kids had it, and I went to get tested and it was negative, and I'm like, that was a waste of my money. I was trying to just do the due diligence and let people know, even though I was going to be in quarantine either way. So I was trying to prove a point, I guess. I don't even know. But getting tested doesn't mean anything. Getting tested doesn't help you in your treatment plan. Getting tested is not the panacea. It's not the solution. It's really, at this point, irrelevant. Because my mom was like, well, if I get sick and then I don't test positive, or they don't know what I have, they're not going to treat me. It doesn't matter what you have. If you're super sick with respiratory issues, they're going to assume COVID-19 unless otherwise identified, and they're going to treat you with respiratory support. There's no other treatment but respiratory support. For children at this point in time, children are getting affected. They've always been affected. Their rate of mortality is significantly less. Be careful of what you hear in the media, because you'll hear one child has died and then we're on a panic. We're like, it's getting all our children. Get the details if you're that panicked. I'm not, because that is not showing across the board that this is a big childhood mortality issue. But if you're panicked, what you want to do is you want to find out, what is the medical history of the child? What are the circumstances? Because it's not like there's always more to the story to anything. So whenever I hear this child died of this meningitis that we don't know, or the COVID-19, I'm always like, what's the story? In Italy, the whole time I've been like, what's the story? There's more to this story. This is not just like everyone is dropping dead in the streets. What is the story to COVID-19? And the other thing, the common question has been, how come young adults are getting affected, and it's not an illness of older people, if we're saying that they still have really good ACE receptors? Just there. So I'm reading all these papers and saying current with the literature, and they're like, oh, these healthy people that seem healthy because they don't have a lot of medical issues in their chart. We have no longer have any idea of what healthy really is, because we're saying, oh, you look young, you look thin, you go to the gym, therefore you're healthy. Because as doctors, we are used to, you're on 1,000 medications, you're unhealthy. There's a lot of people out there that look healthy on the outside and are unhealthy on the inside. I need you to remember this. This is key, because people are walking around going, I don't have any medical problems, but they have irritable bowel syndrome, but they don't consider it a medical problem. They have terrible anxiety and are drinking all the time. I don't have a medical problem. They have depressive symptoms. They can't poop every day. They can't sleep. They have kind of a weird rash, or they have headaches. But if you ask them, they'll say, I don't have any chronic issues because I'm not taking a chronic medication. or they're not seeing a doctor regularly, but they're searching Google nonstop. How do I treat my migraines? How do I treat my PMS? How do I treat my, sex drive issues, my fatigue, my brain fog? So just be careful, because what people look like on the outside is not mean that's what they're on the inside. I treat so many children and young adults that from the outside they look awesome and amazing and the picture of health. And then we get down to the nitty gritty and their gut health is so terrible and they're suffering from so many things, but they're not suffering from something that they're like they're on a chronic medication that when you go to the hospital and they ask you, do you take any medications? And you say no, then they're like, oh, then you're healthy. That doesn't mean anything. So anyway, those are some of the top things. What questions do you guys have? I can't see you, so you have to chat. You can't raise your hand. But I specifically made it a webinar because a lot of people don't like to be seen, so I didn't make it a meeting. But if you want to put a question in the chat box, I'm happy to answer it. Otherwise, I have to do never-ending talking to myself. Question about the masks, because the CDC yesterday released that we should wear masks in public. I personally don't go to places that are that busy that I need a mask, but if the CDC said to wear masks, we're going to be wearing masks when we go to Whole Foods, even though we go off hours. And at this point, I mean, certainly in New York, I know, I did something dumb and I can't undo it. The password thing. I know, I don't know. I saw it when I was getting on there. I saw that I forgot to unclick the password. Hold on a second. I'm going to pause this for a sec. Oh, while you look at my email, oh no, I'm not sharing the screen so you can't see it. Hold on. I am going in there because there's people that I messed up with a password. Lordy. Why do you guys let me be online? I don't even know. Let's see now, hold on. Confirmation. Eagles 24. If you have any friends that cannot get in, tell them that it's Eagles 24 because I have no idea what I did. I'm trying to see if anybody else. No, sorry team, sorry. Okay. Can't get into webinar. Then also password provided. I don't know what I did. Here we go. Paste. Oh, shoot. Lord. Hold on, team. Hold on. Hang tight. All right, back to one. Let's see if anybody's able to get in. Okay, here we go. When you click, yeah, okay, so we got that one. Find the, yeah, I'm so sorry about the password. I have no idea. Okay, what are your top recommendations for boosting immune system for ourselves and little ones? My son is 2. So in my clinic and on TV, the number one thing I say is that our immune system knows how to do this. The number one reason this, in my opinion, that this has taken like wildfire is because we are the sickest that the world has ever been. We're the sickest the country has ever been, and we have not been paying attention. I mean, you guys specifically, I mean, world specifically has not been paying attention to the fact that we need to build our immune system. We're kind of like, yeah, we'll get to it later. We'll get to it later. All right. Top things to boost the immune system. Number one is going to be our fruits and vegetables. I know many of you are dealing with picky eaters. We no longer care that they're picky eaters. We've run out of time. Just remember, there are no picky eaters in Africa, and there's no picky eaters in Haiti, in 2 places I've worked, and there's no food. Therefore, they eat what's in front of them. We have the luxury of all kinds of options in our country. And so please do not take this like I'm calling you a bad mother. Picky eaters are annoying. I have one that lives in my house. Let me tell you something. I no longer care because we don't have time for this anymore. So fruits and vegetables in front of them. Whatever they will eat, they'll eat. Great. They're not going to be offered a second meal. Fruit and vegetables at every meal. Even if they eat 1 grape for breakfast and they have a bite of carrot at lunch and they have a slice of apple at dinner, all that is boosting the immune system. Trying to stay away from processed foods. Now, you can go, sometimes the people need a snack. I know, because we've created a snack culture. In my household, the same thing. I got it. Try to keep snack from a package once a day. And if they want snacks throughout the day, they're going to have to eat a fruit or a vegetable. The rule in my house has been like this forever: fruit or a vegetable before choosing something from a packaged food. So therefore, you're not saying no, but you're saying that we're going to treat your body with a fruit and vegetable out of respect before we indulge in a packaged food. And if they don't want to eat a fruit vegetable, they're not hungry. Then they're not getting another snack. 3 meals a day is perfectly sufficient to survive. Remember, in our lovely country where we're so privileged and we have a lot of food, is we're like, oh no, they're going to starve. I'm a bad mother because I don't feed them when they're hungry. No, you're not. They're going to be fine. 3 meals a day. Also, with the lack of scheduling, it's a free for all in the pantry and in the, in the refrigerator. Make 2 signs. Red sign is closed and green sign is open. So have it in the kitchen that green sign, that's when everybody can ask for food, and then it's red. Nobody got time to feed these people all day long. I got stuff to do. And if you don't, then they're going to go to the pantry. Lock the pantry. I have gone to Black Hawk Hardware, gotten myself a lock and put it on the pantry. The guy made fun of me. He's like, what do you need a lock for? And I was like, I'm locking my pantry. And he's like, you're a Nazi. And I was like, no, actually, I'm a dictator. And I'm not dealing with this nonsense. Anyway, so I'm just saying they're fine. The children are fine. They might be in therapy later, but they're fine. Okay, so the food we talked about, sleep, de-stress. How do you de-stress in this? Stop going on Google. I'll give you a pro tip. There is no new information out there about COVID-19. I'm saying the same thing every day on the news. Same questions. There's no new information. We're going to talk about some other questions you guys have, but there's no, so you can just turn it off. Just because now we know that the data in China is inaccurate is completely irrelevant. Just because. Is somebody vacuuming in my house? I hope that the sound is okay. Just because they're like the latest data from Italy, it's still the same. Excuse me a second. Are you guys seriously vacuuming? Why? Sorry, my people vacuuming now. Anyway, okay. Washing apples with the Terra lemon and soaking them for a bit. Should I avoid eating fresh apples if I'm 70? The washing of the food. I am not concerned about we have no data. I've looked this up regularly. There's no data to show that the virus is sitting on fresh fruits and vegetables. I wash mine with water and I move on. You want to use it with a doTERRA and letting them soak in a bit, that's great. The power of the fruit and the vegetables outweighs any particle that may be there on the fruits and vegetables. I am not concerned. And by the way, everything the fruits and vegetables, like no one's touching them at the grocery store. So at our store, there are plenty of fruits and vegetables. Either they're restocking it like crazy or no one's buying it. So I'm not concerned. And you know, it's funny. Who just asked me? Barbara. So the funny thing is that people like we're worried about what's on our fruits and vegetables, but yeah, we'll grab a packaged food and you'll open it. And most people are not wiping down the packages. And the virus sits on those packages much more than it's sitting on the fruits and vegetables. So fruits, I am not worried. Carry on with the fruits and vegetables. That is not where the problem lies. Also remember that yes, asymptomatic people can transmit it. It is the sick people that have the most transmission, and that's who really needs to be at home. And let's see here. Husband is considered an essential as an electrician. Is there anything we should be doing extra? I work in the medical field. My husband works in the hospital 1 week a month, where he is in the ICU with COVID-19 patients. And We are just doing the basics, which is basically we're staying as quarantined as possible, washing our hands. We have not seen anybody. And let me tell you something. I'm upset because yesterday I was in my neighborhood where my new house is being built. And one of my neighbors, who's awesome and amazing, and I love him, he did a concert for the neighborhood, awesome and amazing, but it made people gather. And I'm like, mm, no gatherings, no gatherings. In order for all of us to be done with this, we've got to take this more seriously. In New York, where they're dying and they're running out of ventilators, they're taking it seriously. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we're kind of like, yeah, no, it's a beautiful day. We're just going to hang out with my neighbors. And as long as we're 6 feet away, then we're good. No, you can't go to someone's house 6 feet away and hang out in their yard. I was invited to this party and I was horrified. I was like, no, we don't go to that party. You cannot be quarantine is quarantine. People are not understanding. And I think another reason that the virus is getting the 20 to 44 year olds is that's who thinks they're not affected by it. That's who's at the park. That's who's doing gatherings. I don't know why I just did that, but that's who's doing gatherings. That's who's doing play dates. That's who's playing tennis. My folks that are 70 and above are at home. You can come in. We could see you. That's always vacuuming. I found the vacuum. The people that are elderly, they're staying home because they're petrified. And the people that don't think it's going to be for them, they're the one gallivanting and they're at Lowe's in droves or at Walmart. By the way, I drove by the Walmart parking lot yesterday and it was packed. I don't understand. You can get all your stuff at the curbside and pick them up. I understand delivery is way backed up. Here's the other thing. You can totally, if you have a mom in the neighborhood and she's going to the grocery store, just ask her to pick up a few things for you. When we're super quarantined, so my husband comes from the hospital and we totally had COVID. We stayed at home and my son's girlfriend, who he hasn't been able to see except via FaceTime, she went grocery shopping for us and dropped the groceries at the door because we weren't going outside. So what I'm saying is it takes each one of us to make sure that that we end this sooner. How much zinc is enough? So zinc for adults, Barbara, I see that you are 70. So zinc for you is going to be 15 milligrams to 30 milligrams. So I usually do, for my low risk people, 15 milligrams daily, high risk people, 50 milligrams twice daily. And pure encapsulations is my favorite because zinc picolinate is the best one. Okay, let's see. Zinc for kids. Zinc is also pure encapsulation. It comes in a liquid. If you guys follow me on Instagram, in the Instagram highlights, there's supplements, and on it I have my brands and the dosing to just make it easier for you. He's working construction, and he's doing his best to wear gloves, sanitizing, changes clothes, takes a shower. Yes, so that's another, I thank you for bringing that up. So that's a huge thing. So when the virus can stay on clothes, and right, construction is essential. There's things we're going to have to do. Coming in from outside and changing your clothes. I don't mean like you went for a walk and there's nobody there. Do that for pollen so you don't have pollen symptoms. But for COVID, if you are going to Walmart and you did a big shopping spree because you had to have food and that's all you can do, is come home, take your clothes off. You can absolutely shower because that way you get anything off of you. Always leave your shoes, no shoes inside at all either. And washing hands. Same thing with packages. I know that it can sit on a cardboard for 24 hours and plastic's a little longer. I'm very much of you can wipe it down if you're paranoid. I'm not that paranoid. I'm opening it and I'm washing my hands really well after I empty all the contents because the bottom line is you still touched it. So if I get rid of the cardboard, it's all gone. I come back and I really wash my hands really well for 20 seconds plus to make sure I get that stuff off because this is where it's coming from. It's not jumping from the package to your face. It's from your hands. Vitamin C brands. Yes, they're all sold out. Totally. And here we have some in the office. So we got buffered vitamin C by Orthomolecular that if you want some, you can come grab some. Let me tell you what I do every day. Every day I have a bag of mandarins in my refrigerator and at lunch I peel 5 mandarin. Okay, 4 because the husband's ordinary. He won't take it. But there's one in every family. I I do mandarins. We don't have any vitamin C supplements in my house because I'm saving them all for my patients. I open mandarins every day, and we have red peppers and either red peppers, well, mandarins every day, add red peppers, and then strawberries every other day. Those are top foods high in vitamin C. So you don't even have to go chasing after all these other vitamins and minerals come from food. So do not panic. We are not shipping. We don't have the capability. We're a tiny practice. But do not panic over it. Just remember, food is so high in vitamin C. You do not need supplements to stay well. Oh, different in buffer of vitamin C, buffer versus non-buffered, tolerance for the belly. So buffer, if I take vitamin C, I'll have severe reflux and belly pain. And if you take buffered, they actually add a little alkalinity to it, so you're not having as many GI issues from it. It is as effective, it just is better tolerated for the buffered vitamin C. Anything else? With a couple more minutes. If anybody else has another question. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. And if it was, if you can leave me a Google review. Some joker went on my Facebook page, my Integrative Health Carolina's Facebook page, and left me a negative Google review, calling me a pseudoscientist and giving bad advice. And that hurt my feelings. But anyway, so vitamin D. Yes, so on vitamin D for my adults is going to be, I like orthomolecular D3K2 at 5,000 international units. That is what I take every day, and that's what I recommend for adults. Oh, okay. Yes. So my symptoms came. So before they talked about that the things needed to be shut down, I had already left for Vegas. I was in Vegas for my 22nd anniversary. And we were there, and as it was a conference, and at the conference later on, 2 people came out positive for COVID-19 at the same time. So I came back from Vegas on Sunday. My daughter came back from Rwanda via Amsterdam on Sunday, and the 2 of us got sick on a Wednesday, and I developed a very tight cough. It was, and I don't have asthma, but my chest was tight, and I was like, I don't have chest tightness, but every time that I would take a deep breath, I would cough, and my husband was like, that's not a normal cough. And then he was like, I think you're warm. I didn't have any fever. I felt unwell. I felt very achy, just like very, like generally bad. And this cough was really tight. And my daughter, high fever and a cough. And I did record it, and I'll send it because I don't know how to do my password. Yes, I'll send it. Anyway, so we had a really tough cough. So my daughter had a big cough, and she had asthma in her previous history. So that really got her lungs really inflamed. And so anyway, my cough was really tight for 2 days. I was also run down. I was overly committed on television and blogs and Facebook too much on top of my clinic and taking care of everything else that's going on. So I did my power immune system, the fruits and vegetables I'm talking about. I used my supplements. And then really the most important thing I did, I shut off my media and I went to sleep because I wasn't sleeping. And I had some really good sleep. And then within 48 hours, my really tight cough turned to a really productive cough. And my cough, I still have like a smidge left 2 weeks later, which never happens. I'm better in 48 hours with anything. Of course, I get colds. I'm a pediatrician. I'm around snot all the time. But usually I can turn it around in 48 hours. This was 2 weeks lingering. My daughter's still coughing, but she's almost done. She's like a little cough once a day. My boys got sick as well. And that's why I went to get tested, and it was negative, which I totally don't think is true. And I didn't, I will tell you something. It is petrifying to get a cough. I got the cough, and I was like, this is it. This is the cough. This is the cough. This is my husband. He was like, sounds like a bad cough. And I'm just saying, I don't think you have it, but 10 days in, as you can end up on a ventilator. I was like, that is not helpful. Not helpful. Anyway, point is, I truly believe in building the immune system. I truly believe in what I do. So yes, I got worried and panicked, but what I did is I did my mantra. I'm like, I eat a certain way because I've been ready for this pandemic for my entire past 11 years, because not my entire life, past 11 years, I've been working on it. I knew that I was getting sick, so sleep became a priority. Turning off social media became a priority. And I was like, we need to take this situation down because I'm getting like, body is saying no. So I really wasn't, when my kids got sick, I didn't panic because I was like, you know what? I've done all this work with them and they got to sleep. No one was going to school, which was the most amazing thing ever. So everyone slept until 10 o'clock in the morning, and then they got up to do school. They didn't infect anyone. They could relax. They could do school and then rest. I did my essential oils on them, and they got special love and attention and mama time. And we just created a calm and peaceful zen. I was like, yep, we have it and we're going to get over it. And I had the mantra every single day. And I'm a big believer. Let's see. Putting organic lemon slices of ginger and water. Yes. Yes. Love lemon. Boom. Vitamin C. Ginger. Amazing for gut and amazing for the immune system. Love, love. Awesome. I'm all about the sipping of the liquids. I know that, who was it? Was it who? Somebody came out and they were like, there was no evidence that drinking sips of fluids can actually wash the virus from the back of your throat and not go into the lungs. That's a bunch of hooey. I'm like, who's done that study? Who is doing the study to prove it or disprove it? Nobody. Moving on. Yes. Lemon water and ginger. Love. I'm nursing my newborn and 2-year-old. If we happen to get, would my antibodies pass through the milk and they'll be okay? Dang, media is freaking us out. Yes, media is freaking us out. Mama, best thing is going to be to nurse the babies. Just breast milk. You know what? They're like, oh, well, the moms have COVID and they give the babies. The mom has a mask on. I don't even know what that's doing to the baby. So don't give transmission to the baby. And the baby comes out of your vagina. By the way, it gets transmitted through the vaginal fluid. So like, can we just, be done with it? Anyway, so we're going to turn that off and we're going to nurse those babies and wash your hands and just stay quarantined. I'm telling you, if we all stay quarantined, it will make the biggest difference. So just keep doing what you're doing. And I'm telling you, the moment you start getting freaked out, because the thing is like, is it one more number and the numbers are up and we reached 1 million. And did you know that in Italy they did this? And then the doctors in New York are like, suffering. And that's not helpful to me. Like, I was like, not that I want to help them and I feel so bad and I'm sending them wishes of wellness and gratefulness and gratitude. But me knowing that people are dying in New York is not helpful for my mental sanity. I just need to do me, which is protecting everyone else from me. And I stay in my space, even though I'm worried about missing on a block party. No. Essential oils used to help. Ooh. The news made me so scared. Okay. So let me talk the essential oils. So the essential oils that I use, so in our clinic, we had an awesome class, like thank God, 2 weeks before this went down. And it's Aroma Touch by doTERRA. So amazing. And you use the oils in a very specific way. But if you don't know how to do it, and I was going to do it on, it's really hard. It was like a whole day class. But if you just have On Guard, lavender, we're good. If you have thieves, use the equivalent of On Guard and lavender. They're amazing. Wild orange is fantastic. Balance, girls, balance is like one of my favorite oils. When I smell it, it makes me calm. Also, this is a little trick I learned from my aromatherapist. She's like, if you smell a smell and let's say that I say, oh, On Guard is the best for you. And you smell and you're like, oh, I can't deal. Not good for you. The one that you're like, oh, I can't get enough of this smell. That's the smell that fits your body. So it's a poor man's way of kind of figuring out what the smell is for you. So balance is my thing, my jam. I also use patchouli and bergamot. Oh, amazing. But really, in the end of it, whatever you have is good. Lavender is probably the easiest one to find and it works great. You're welcome. Have all those safe. So 2-year-olds diluted. So you want to use 1 drop per 5 mLs. 1 drop of the essential oils per 5 mLs, and that's even okay for baby. Lavender is okay for babies, and then On Guard you could use for the 2-year-old diluted, absolutely, and you can use any balance as well. Let's see. This is true. Okay. 80% are still asymptomatic or mild. So I'm going to talk about, so asymptomatic means that you truly have no symptoms. And I swear to you, there's no way my husband was not an asymptomatic carrier after being in the ICU with COVID and no protection and being in a house of disgusting humans. So asymptomatic is true. The mild cases, what mild means is you have a cough, you have a fever, you could have pneumonia, you can have asthma exacerbation, but you don't need to be hospitalized. That's considered as mild. And our testing stinks. So 70% effective. So there's a lot of people walking around that have it, that are, our numbers are not what you see in the media. The numbers of asymptomatic people are significantly more, and the people that have mild symptoms are significantly more, because I don't even refer you. If you have mild symptoms, don't go and clog up the testing. It takes 10 days for the test that comes back. That's ridiculous. There's not, I don't, in our area, we don't have something that's fast. So the numbers that you see in the papers are not accurate because it's been around here longer. So I think so the Lancet came out 3 days ago and showed that the mortality rate that was initially reported out of China at 2.3%, overall it's actually 0.66%, which is significantly less. It is 6 times more than the flu, which is at 0.1%. But what everybody keeps saying in the literature, we don't have accurate numbers. We don't really know. We don't really know. There's many more people affected than we really know. We talked about at the beginning, we talked about the mutation. It's not become more serious. No, the young people. Yeah. So I'm going to send the recording because I do cover the top about why the younger people are being affected. Tea tree oil. Yes. Tea tree oil is also a good one. Yes. Totally love tea tree oil. Diluted if that is good for you. Awesome for acne. Just saying. Anything else, guys? I will please send your favorite friends. I'm going to put this on YouTube so then other people can have access to it, since I think I'm tech savvy, but elderberry. I was surprised we didn't hear about elderberry. The quick and dirty. The elderberry thing, I think is totally fine, generally speaking. The whole brouhaha came because there's studies in a few people that show that using elderberry during the flu is effective. So it decreases your duration of flu by 3 to 4 days. Great. So then they did a follow-up study in 12 people where they drew their blood and elderberry, and in a test tube, they looked to see what does the elderberry do to the blood to help you fight the flu. And it showed that it increased IL-6 and cytokines by 200 times. I'm simplifying. Then people said, during COVID-19, you have IL-6 that increase and cytokine increase that then leads you to cytokine storm. Therefore, elderberry that we saw in this test tube for flu is going to lead to cytokine storm and IL-6. So therefore, that is a gigantic jump. That is, I know they thought about it, but there's no evidence in the medical literature that the elderberry is leading to cytokine storm. What we need to also understand is IL-6 is pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory. So example, when you work out, you make extra IL-6, which then helps your body recover from the workout, and then it becomes overall anti-inflammatory. Doritos and Gatorade and fast food are going to raise your IL-6, and that is pro-inflammatory, because if you look in the literature, high-fat foods from this American diet increases IL-6. No one seems to be talking about that one, but we're going after the elderberry, which is was mind-blowing for me from the beginning. I'm like, we're going after a berry that has potent antioxidants, and that's what we're telling people that they shouldn't do. But no one's talking about the garbage food that everyone is buying, because that's what is out of stores. Everyone's buying the garbage food, which is raising their IL-6 and technically putting you at risk for COVID-19. Haven't seen a post about that, but elderberry, man, people are trying to take it down and then calling foul. I want to put a disclaimer. If you have an autoimmune condition like rheumatoid arthritis, or that has high IL-6 and you're taking an anti-IL-6 medication, elderberry may not be good for you, but that's on case-by-case basis where you need to speak with your doctor. And so some people that have rheumatoid arthritis took elderberry every day. They felt their hands hurt. They stopped drinking elderberry. Their hands stopped hurting. great, that is not a good fit for you. But generally speaking, that is a giant generalization. If you've done elderberry and it's worked for you, carry on. I'm not, I still promote it and I sell it in my office and my patients are on it. Advil versus Tylenol, good one. Okay, so that brouhaha is actually came from the British Medical Journal. In the British Medical Journal, there's not actual study. It is a published statement by various physicians that said during the H1N1 pandemic in 2009 that they noticed that in kids who were taking a lot of ibuprofen, they had significant worse side effects to the H1N1 than children who were not taking a lot of ibuprofen. So they put out a caution warning. They said, please stop giving your children and adults ibuprofen for flu. And then studies from Japan where people with flu were given ibuprofen and they noticed significant increase in neurological inflammation from the flu. Then COVID-19 happened and the BMJ also said, we are seeing a lot of people having a lot of side effects from the COVID-19, people who have been taking ibuprofen. Scientists in France are agreeing with this. Folks in Spain are kind of on the border. However, the recommendation was please be careful about taking ibuprofen if you're coming down with COVID-19. So then everybody's panicked, right? Because then we know that if you take too much Tylenol, that increases your risk for asthma, which is then another lung issue. What do? The whole point is if you get ill, okay, number one, if you're taking a lot of Advil and Tylenol for other issues, you need to talk to your doctor on how to reduce those significantly. Number two, we're in a state of panic in a pandemic. So the moment that you feel unwell, you're like, let me take my temperature. I'm 99.9. This is a fever. Boom, ibuprofen. We're not going to do that. No, we're not do that. What we're going to do is we're going to let the body do its thing. So on my Instagram page or in my blog, which is Family Wellness Tips, I talk about fever and why we need to let fever do its job, on holistic approaches to fever, and like loosening up on the Advil and Tylenol. The problem is we overdose ourselves because we're panicked. We overdose our children because we're panicked that if they have a fever, they'll have brain damage or seizures, which in neurologically healthy kids with no underlying conditions, that is not true. And so all that the article told us is that we're just gonna take a step back, let the body do its thing, and we will use Advil or Tylenol judiciously and only when absolutely needed, which means you can't sleep, you can't drink fluids, any risk for dehydration, and that's it. Because you can't play, you shouldn't play. If you're sick, you shouldn't play, you shouldn't eat. You should be laying around and like, and just watching a show like Tiger King. Not for children. Not for children. Okay. Belladonna. I don't use belladonna, so I'm not well versed in that. Is it true certain blood types have more serious complications? The blood type thing, from the blood type diet to the blood, I have not seen anything in the literature related to blood types and the COVID-19. And I would stop looking into that because what are you going to do different? Do you know what I mean? Like if you're I'm B positive, I don't know, my kids are, but how is that helpful except to raise your anxiety or give you a false sense of security, and then you're out there not following precautions? So all these things, I just got simplify it, folks. Just take it down a notch. We're going to stop reading all this stuff. Here's the basic things: fruits and vegetables, meats, eggs, that as organic as you can. Whatever you can't find organic, just buy an egg. We're going to sleep. We're going to enjoy our family. We're going to enjoy these children we gave birth to. We're going to enjoy our spouses that we wish they were home more. And we're going to be grateful for what we have in front of us rather than, could it be this? Could it be that? Am I at risk? We're all at risk. Everyone's at risk. So we're going to stay quarantined. We're going to wash our hands. We're going to eat our fruits and vegetables. And we're going to do all the basics. It's back to the basics. This is not, we're looking at the science for like, what's the greatest and latest invention? There's none. It's back to the basics and just sticking with the basic facts. And all the other stuff that keeps coming in, and then one kid died, and then this one has B positive, and then that person took this, and then the anti-malaria drug is this, and you're like, all that does is just raise your cortisol level, is doing nothing for you. That's good. Cool. All right. I hope that helped, team. Anyway, it was a pleasure. I'm really sorry about the password thing. Anyway, I'm gonna record this. Recording is gonna be on YouTube, and then I'll put it on my Instagram page and Facebook page. So whoever hasn't gotten a chance to see it, they'll get to see it. And I'll leave in the vacuuming because that was really fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you guys have a chance to go to either Dr. Anna Maria Temple or Integrative Health Carolinas and leave me a Google review, I would so appreciate it. My business would appreciate it. And anyway, if this was helpful, we can certainly do it at a later time. Have a wonderful Saturday. So I'm so excited that you guys are less anxious. The whole point of this is to make you less anxious. So feel free to send me comments. And as I said, we can do another webinar without a password and address more issues as they're coming. There's so many things are unknown. And when things are this unknown and out of our control, the best thing to do, go back to the basics, go back old school, because it worked before. That's why there wasn't really anything going on until now, until we messed it all up with our inventions. But anyway, it's great to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful weekend.